Hello, my name is Christine Trevino, and I'm here today to talk about the Yaqui people. I know the topic of slavery and racial discrimination is never an easy one to discuss. We know here in America, in 1865, with the passing of the 13th Amendment, slavery was abolished. But what if I told you, just across our border in Mexico, slavery was still continuing? An entire race of people were being enslaved and massacred and were being targeted for extinction. What if I told you it happened in 1927? This is a portrait of my great-grandfather that my grandmother painted. This man was a full-blooded Yaqui Indian. This man who taught me to love my land, taught me to love my family, and taught me how to talk to chickens, was a slave. In 1920, he was sold for a quarter. Just to give you a little bit of perspective on what that would mean now, or in the 20s, I should say, a gallon of milk was 36 cents. My grandfather was sold for less than the price of a gallon of milk. The Yaqui Indians are a peaceful tribe that went to war to defend their land, their people, and their customs. Because of that, they were massacred, enslaved, and targeted for eradication. You might be asking yourself, who are the Yaqui people? The Yaqui people are an indigenous tribe located in Sonora, Mexico. The Yaqui were farmers, hunter-gatherers, and fishermen. They lived in pueblos, and some lived in land along the river, the Yaqui River to be exact. The Spanish, when they came, referred to them as rancheros, because we were not like other Native American tribes that were all huddled together. We were spread out. Spiritually, the Yaquis believe they are from an ancient magical people called the Serem. The coming of the Spanish and of their God and his son were foretold, along with new rules to live by, from the legend of the talking tree. The Serem could choose to stay, and the ones that did not want to comply were free to go. Some went into the earth below the mountains, some went into the sea, and some stayed. And the ones that stayed are called the Yaqui people. Their current belief system is a mix of traditional Yaqui religion and Catholicism. The Yaqui has their own flag. Each section of the flag symbolizes something different. The 4 stars represent the 4 cardinal directions. The blue represents the sky. The red represents the bloodshed of our ancestors in protecting our people, our land, our customs, and religion. The white represents purity. The black cross represents our ancestors. It's a memorial to those who died in the wars, protecting our people, land, and customs. The moon is our mother creator. The sun is our father creator. Between the years of 1529 and 1927, the Yaqui were involved in over 270 armed conflicts. This speech would not allow me to go through all 270, so I've combined it into significant events. The first significant event was in 1740. Prior to that, the Spanish had started to come into the land, but were peaceful. So there were minor conflicts here and there, but for the most part, treaties were signed and things were okay. Then there was the coming of the Jesuits, and we had them build missions, and things seemed to be okay. But then in 1740, we started to lose our autonomy in being able to choose who our tribal leaders were, and also the excess in crops and grain that we had produced, they had taken, and instead of keeping it for our people, used it to expand further north. This resulted in a rebellion. This ended with us chasing the Spanish and the Jesuits off of our land by 1742. Another significant event was in 1820, Mexico gained its independence and declared Yaqui Mexican citizens and tried to make them pay taxes and take their land to reallocate it for private sales. In addition, the government wanted to monopolize the natural minerals, which was salt, so that they could take it for their purposes. This started a revolution and warfare that would last for the next century. The next significant event was in 1868. The Yaqui people were tired of fighting and wanted to talk peace. So 400 Yaqui people went to surrender so that they could put an end to the war. They were rounded up, put into a church, and the church was set on fire, and anyone who attempted to leave was gunned down. That resulted in the death of 120 Yaqui people. The next significant event was in the 1900s, and it was a battle at the Baquete Mountain. Many were killed, and over 1,000 were captured. At that time, many took their own lives to avoid capture. A reporter from the San Francisco Call in 1909 shared a story of a young woman who'd been discovered hiding in a cave and without a tear in her eye, knelt down by the body of her loved one, bowed slightly, and took off like a gazelle and threw herself into the abyss. President Diaz became tired of fighting with the Yaqui people and not seeing an end in sight, ordered the deportation and extermination of the Yaqui race. President Diaz is quoted as saying, "The Yaqui Indians are the most stubborn fighters on the earth, and if we are ever to put them down, we must strike at the root of their race. We must exile the women and children." The women and children were rounded up and deported to the Yucatan and forced into slavery. They have no report of any returning. Most of the enslaved people died within a year. Several hundred were taken out to sea and drowned. A date significant to me is 1920. That was when my great-grandfather was sold for a quarter. In 1927, the last battle, 12,000 Federales armed with machine guns, bombers, and poison gas decimated the resistance. Fear of future rebellion caused peace treaties to be signed. Those peace treaties resulted in the Yaqui getting back at least some of their land, not their minerals, and now they are on reserved land. There's also an established reservation in Tucson, Arizona for the Pascua Yaqui.